All right, so you got a couple of things I want to talk about tonight. I feel like I should have intro music, but I just can't take myself that seriously. I just can't. I don't know. Sorry, guys. It's very unprofessional, but it's not going to happen. Um, Before I even start on what I want to talk about, I just watched the uh, the Pope series that CNN did that is on HBO, and I went into it expecting to be disgusted, and there's definitely things to be disgusted about, but the first 5 episodes are good until the last 10 minutes of the fifth episode. So you get like a minute or two in each episode where they, praise Francis and the amazing steps he's taking in the church. But then it goes into straight up historical context. They do a very good job. It starts with Peter and goes through pretty much, up to present day, but they do the Renaissance popes, and they're even they're more fair to Alexander the Sixth than I thought they would be, and they portray him more as a diplomat, even though he, had children, and he was a pretty wicked guy. But they actually were pretty easy on him. It gets really bad towards the end of episode 5 when you have this lesbian feminist troll trying to portray Pius XII as anti-Semitic, which made me want to punch the screen. Every trope you can think of throwing at him, but while Liam Neeson is talking during the actual documentary portion of it, without the commentary, they're pretty fair with it. I mean, they show the wall he was up. I mean, he was basically up against a rock and a hard place with the situation. If he would have said something, it may have caused more people to die. So like the actual historicity of it, they were pretty fair. But once the Novus Ordo troll comes in, it kind of you really do get enraged. And then once John Paul II is the final episode, they're pretty good about John Paul II. They go they get into how he took down communism. They're really good, but they also portray him, as you would expect, as a doctrinal hardliner. And now, once it gets past him and they get into Francis, forget it. The last half hour of this thing are unwatchable. So if anybody's interested in checking that out, it's on HBO. I would definitely recommend the first 4.5 episodes. So if that helps anybody. Tonight, I want to get into the war on Christmas this year, which is reaching new levels. So the first thing is the Fox News Christmas tree in New York City was torched the other day, and the news portrayed it as if it spontaneously combusted. They don't say man set it off. I think they did after everybody attacked them for it, but the New York Times literally said Fox News Christmas tree catches fire. No, it was arson. It didn't catch fire and didn't spontaneously combust. Somebody lit it on fire. And then once everybody lambasted them for that, all the other outlets, set it out like that. Then this morning we find out the suspect was released without bail, of course, because New York City is a hellhole, and they just let everybody go. But then we got some funny stories tonight. So the first one we're going to talk about is this. Woke wannabe film critics cancel Christmas classics over toxic masculinity. We'll do the funny stories first. Woke wannabe critics are attempting to cancel some of the most beloved holiday films in history, calling out problematic plot lines and characters in movies such as Love Actually and The Holiday, both movies that I really could care less about. While many Americans find comfort in reruns of these films, some Scrooge-like viewers claim the Christmas classics should be thrown out like an unwanted gift. And it's not just those relatively recent holiday films that are attracting the ire of politically correct users on Twitter. Movies made as far back as the 1940s are also being targeted by the Twitterverse for racism and misogyny. Here are 5 Christmas movies and reasons why the woke critics say they should be placed on Santa's naughty list. The Holiday. I've never seen this movie. I've never, I guess, what's her name? Cameron Diaz is in it. In the 15 years since its release, The Holiday has become a beloved Christmas classic, currently streaming on Netflix. It's entered the holiday canon. While many love the film for its leading ladies, Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet, it's the lecherous male character that leaves some armchair critics calling for its cancellation. I'm not even going to get into that nonsense, but It's a Wonderful Life. It's not just that holiday. It's not just that holiday that purportedly features problematic men. Frank Capra's Christmas classic, It's a Wonderful Life, is also being targeted by viewers who accuse Jimmy Stewart's character of exhibiting misogynistic behavior. This is one of the most classic Christmas movies of all time. The movie revolves around protagonist George Bailey, a lone banker contemplating suicide on the eve of Christmas. However, the film highlights how Bailey's life is worth living, as his kind heart and good deeds have subtly influenced the lives of many in the town of Bedford Falls, but skeptics say not so fast. George Bailey was an emotionally abusive and manipulative misogynist, one naysayer wrote, appearing to reference a scene where George yells at his wife, Mary. In the follow-up scene, George grabs his spouse and kisses her without her consent. It can't be seen. I didn't read this. I just saw the headline. I figured I'd read it to you guys. George grabs his wife and kisses her without consent. The scene in It's a Wonderful Life is an example of both the man imposing himself and the woman deciding to give in to him rather than resist further. Others are calling out the lack of diversity in the 1946 flick. Yes, 1946 suburb, because there's so much diversity in the suburbs in 1946. I see NBC is playing It's a Wonderful Life right now. It's in B&W, black and white, I guess. Is that why I see no people of color? A viewer posted last week. All right. Next one up is The Santa Claus. The Santa Claus was a box office smash in 94, grossing $200 million. But some say the film hasn't aged well in the 27 years since its release and have branded it fat phobic. I can't even go on with this because this is just so ridiculous. There's the things that these people find to complain about. Tim Allen plays toy salesman Scott Calvin. All right. Let's see. The sudden weight gain prompts several fat jokes, which are far from politically correct. Well, shit, I forgot about all the super fat phobic stuff in the Santa Claus Disney movie. A Twitter why is what Twitter users say news? I don't understand this. How does this make it into an article? I don't get it. We're literally random idiot Twitter users are now shaping the way we read news. Let's see what else they got. Jingle All the Way. Let's see what the problem is with that one. Okay, the 96 film sees Schwarzenegger and Sinbad play rival characters, desperately trying to purchase a Turbo Man action figure for their sons. The relentless focus on capitalism has turned some woke viewers off, with one saying, rum-soaked viewing of Jingle All the Way now, and gang. This is a deeply problematic S-fest about late capitalism. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm not going to read that one because I never even heard of that movie. All right, let's go on to the next story. The next story, which is beyond satire, is in St. Anthony, Minnesota. St. Anthony residents receive anonymous letter shaming them for their Christmas displays. These people got a letter. And let's see. All right, before I read the letter, I'm going to read the reaction. So we kind of decided because of the letter that it was finally time to put up our lights at St. Anthony Village resident. At least 4 of her neighbors received an anonymous letter shaming them for the Christmas decorations. In the letter, the anonymous sender addresses the Christmas lights display in each yard, stating in part, I'm going to not read clips. I'm going to read the actual letter. All right, so let's get into the actual letter. Let's see. I couldn't help but notice your Christmas lights display. During these unprecedented times, we have all experienced challenges with casual words experience challenges which casual words just don't describe what we're feeling. The idea of twinkling, colorful lights are a reminder of divisions that continue to run through our society, a reminder of systemic biases against our neighbors who don't celebrate Christmas or who can't afford to put up lights of their own. We must do the work of educating ourselves about the harmful impact an outward-facing display like yours can have. I challenge you to respect the dignity of all people while striving to learn from differences, ideas, and opinions of our neighbors. We must come together collectively and challenge these institutional inequities. St. Anthony is a community welcoming of all people, and we must demand better for ourselves. I thought this had, see, like, this is something I would do just to troll my neighbors, because sometimes conservatives and Christians are the easiest people to troll. And I would do something like this just to be funny and get everybody to unite and put more Christmas lights up. So I don't know if this is real, because there's probably a lot of people out there like me who just likes to stir the pot and, stick it to, it's fun to rile up your friends sometimes. Then I want to get into something a little bit darker, and we're going to start twisting in that way. So then you had the National Shrine in D.C. Man attacks D.C. Basilica, the shrine, the Our Lady of Fatima statue, by cutting off her hands and hammering her face. This one made me sick. Security camera footage shows a man attacking a statue of Our Lady of Fatima by cutting off her hands and hammering at her face, according to the statement by the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. So they have video of it. They contacted the authorities. They did not catch the guy yet. Subsequent to reviewing the camera footage, a male was found to have entered the locked garden by scaling its fence Sunday night. He then proceeded to cut off her hands and attack her face with a hammer. As he left, he took her hands. So he took the hands with him. This person also cut off the cross from the top of Mary's crown and wore a mask. The Basilica is not releasing the surveillance video at this time. I wonder why. Something tells me if he looked like me, they'd release the video right away. At the time, Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York and Archbishop of Paul Coakley of Oklahoma, chairman of the USCCB's Religious Liberty Domestic Justice Committees, condemned the acts of hate, but stressed the importance of reaching out to perpetrators with prayer and forgiveness. So that's where we are with that. Now, we are going to head into Pope Francis actually addressing the issue of the attacks on Christmas. Now, when I read this, I was happy to see he said something. Pope blasts Nazi dictatorship in the EU. With England and France feuding, Russia mobilizing, and Brussels incurring the wrath of Rome, it all feels a bit 1530 in Europe at the moment. The latest Renaissance throwback has been the octogenarian Pope Francis coming out swinging against the European Union for its efforts to ban the word Christmas among Brussels bureaucrats. Hand-wringing pen pushers have told their fellow bureaucrats to swap it instead to holiday period, as it could be offensive to non-Christians. As part of a guide on inclusive communication, the document ordered staff to substitute saying Christmas time can be stressful for holiday times can be stressful. Naturally, such talk did not go down well in the Vatican, where Cardinal Parolin accused the EU of trying to cancel our roots. The irony of this: you have Pope Francis, who is opening or encouraging Europe to open its borders. And when you open your borders, you bring in people who do not have the same culture as you. And when people do not have the same culture as you, they do not celebrate the same holidays. Now, the thing with this war on Christmas that's strange is that there's never been a person on the planet who was offended by the word Christmas. No Muslims, no Jews, no Hindus, no Buddhists. Nobody is offended by the word Christmas. Nobody's offended when you say Merry Christmas. Nobody. So when you ban the word Christmas, the only intent is to offend Christians. Nobody. Think about it. With the other things we're seeing going on with the burning of the Christmas tree, just imagine you had somebody, well, even think about, sorry, I hate when I do this, but the Christmas parade massacre, where the guy drives his car in and kills 6 people. I think it might even be up to 7 now. How do they frame that story? They frame that story as man murders 6 people or SUV crashes into 6 people. Just imagine there was a Kwanzaa parade or a Ramadan festival where somebody smashed a car into and killed 6 people. How would that be framed? Now, the highlight that I would like to address is, I hope I can even get this because I've read New York Times. I'm not paying for a New York Times subscription. It's just not happening. And you can only view their things, I think, 2 times before they put up an ad. Oh, God, they put an ad block up. I'm going to actually pay the New York Times for you guys, okay? So, New York Times published a story called The Downside of Diversity, where they actually acknowledge the downsides of diversity. So let's just see. Oh, I should have done all this beforehand. I'm sorry, guys. I'm the worst. This all should have been done. Maybe I could edit this out later, but I don't know. This might not work. Oh, come on already. Be quick. Nothing worse than when you're doing a show in this dead air. Let's see. I got to get a code now. Let's see. What do we got? All right. Come on already. So they actually did a story where they discuss what happens to a community when you start mixing cultures. So like they love to call America the melting pot. We're seeing down at the southern border an influx. Oh man, now I got kids coming home. No, I don't want to do this. Oh my gosh, just stop. Maybe later. Continue. Reading browser. Okay, we're all set. It says I'm all set. So let's try this again. Now I got children coming home. Hang on. Yeah, hon. Come on down.
Who are you talking to?
Nobody. Come here. Hi.
What are you doing? Ew!
What's up?
I'm.
You're sick?
I think so.
You got the COVID?
No.
You got the Rona?
Ew, so weird.
All right, get out. I'm doing something.
Bye.
Bye.
Wait, can I have a hug and a
Love you.
Love you.
Okay. So, here we go. It has become increasingly popular to speak of racial and ethnic diversity as a civic strength. From multicultural festivals to pronouncements from political leaders, the message is the same. Our differences make us stronger. But a massive new study based on detailed interviews of nearly 30,000 people across America has concluded just the opposite. Harvard political scientist Robert Putnam, famous for Bowling Alone, his 2000 book on declining civic engagement, has found that the greater the diversity in a community, the fewer people vote and the less they volunteer, the less they give to charity and work on community projects. In the most diverse communities, neighbors trust one another about half as much as they do in the most homogenous settings. Who would have thought? In the most diverse communities, neighbors trust one another about half as much as they do. I just read that. Sorry, guys. The study, the largest ever on civic engagement in America, found that virtually all measures of civic health are lower in more diverse settings. The extent of the effect is shocking. The study comes at a time when the future of the American melting pot is the focus of intense political debate, from immigration to race-based admissions to schools, and it poses challenges to advocates on all sides of the issue. The study is already being cited by some conservatives as proof of the harm large-scale immigration causes to the nation's social fabric. But with demographic trends already pushing the nation inexorably toward greater diversity, the real question may yet lie ahead: how to handle the unsettling social challenges that Putnam's research predicts. We can't ignore the findings. The big question we have to ask ourselves is, what do we do about it? What are the next steps? They're doing it on purpose. The whole point is to destroy the social fabric of this country, because out of the ruins, they will put in something new. I just paid for this piece of trash. I just gave money to the New York Times for you guys. This is ridiculous. So the idea that Francis is decrying the fact that the EU wants to ban the word Christmas when he is part of the reason they want to ban the word Christmas is appalling. We should all be offended by his comments. Now, I always give bad news because that's what everybody wants to hear. But for some reason, we're all addicted to bad news. But there is good news. And this is how I think we get out of this. So there was, oh, you know what? Actually, before that, I watched a clip of a Young Republicans, the New York Young Republican Club, where a kid gave a speech, and just a little clip from it. He says, "We live in tumultuous and chaotic times. In fact, an ardent student of history would opine it even appears that we are living through the last breaths of a dying empire. Our borders are being flooded, our store shelves are being emptied, and our dollars are being devalued." This is the point. They open the borders, they let everybody flood in. There's no point of unity anymore. They don't want racial unity. They don't want ethnic unity. They don't want patriotism. Everything that used to unite us, they want to take away. Why do they want to destroy this country? Because this country and the Constitution are the one thing standing in their way from doing what they want to do, because they do want to build something in its place. Now, I do want to address one thing that is good news that made me happy today. So this is how we move forward, because they have control of the media, they have control of the universities, they have control of every major institution in this country. And yet in France, where it's the worst, the immigration, everything, you think there's no Catholic culture left in France. But on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, based French Catholics protect church from secular concert. On the eve of the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, a group of based French Catholics successfully defended their church in Nantes from being used to make money for a secular pop musician. Echoing the gospel story of the money changers in the temple, these brave Catholics successfully orchestrated to sing hymns and show solidarity outside the Notre Dame. Don't even ask me to read a French word, church in the city of Nantes. The mayor of Nantes, Bassem Assay. What's wrong with you people in France? Why is he your mayor? Has had the goal to condemn Catholics for defending their own church, stating that it impinged freedom of expression. The booking of Swedish singer Anna von, Haswolf to play a Catholic church they need a copy editor. I'm sorry, this isn't even me. Catholic church on the eve of the Feast of the Immaculate Conception is really quite bizarre, considering her music features lyrics such as these pills keep me alive, these pills keep me alive. Oh, I don't even want to read these lyrics. They're actually pretty gross. So there is no reason to think that the civic authorities could not have arranged a more suitable non-religious venue for this concert and had it pass off without trouble. To arrange it in a church on a normal day is offensive. To do so on the greatest feast day of the Christian calendar, greatest Marian feast day on the Christian calendar, is an act of war. French media outlets panicked since the rise of the politician Eric Zemmour have condemned the Catholics, with Le Monde calling them fundamentalist Catholic. I'm a fundamentalist Catholic. And others calling them integralists. The integralists, they get such a bad rap. Mostly, however, they were just young men and women who did not want to see their churches desecrated. Yeah. These are the things we have to start doing. We need to start bringing back Eucharistic processions, and it's got to be young men and women that do it. Like, the traditional parishes are the only ones that are going to do it. You're not going to get these boomer parishes putting something like that together. And you do see it. I know I've seen a couple of people posting like local Eucharistic processions and we got to bring some of these traditions back, because this is the way you win back the culture. And we have to win back the culture. Even if we don't win it on a broad scale, we have to start developing small enclaves of it. So at least we have some kind of resistance, and we all have to unite around our faith. So this year's War on Christmas stepping up to new levels of insanity, ridiculousness, and violence with the attack on the Christmas parade. So let me know what you guys think. I don't even know if I said it. You guys have to hit like and you have to subscribe. I mean, I'm tired of talking to 14 people. It's not fun. I feel ridiculous. I do have my first guest on Saturday, and I'm a little nervous. And it's at 6 a.m. because this man wakes up at 4 a.m. every day, even on his days off, and he's crazy. But we're going to see how it goes. I will give you guys further info going forward. Till the next time, I'll see you guys later.